Hey YouTube, it's Olympus Reptiles. If you look right now, this snake does have some stuck shed, but you should have seen what was on it and what we're about to do to take it off. Also, why is this snake leaving our display? Because it is. Watch the video and you're going to find out exactly what we do to help this thing out with this shed issue, and also why it's leaving our display. While you're at it, why don't you click like and subscribe, because my hand has to get like 2 inches from a rattlesnake face today. I think that's worth you subscribing and liking. And while you're at it, you might check out Patreon just for fun, because the Discord's pretty cool, but not because I do dumb stuff like this. All right, ready to get started? Let's go. All right guys, so in the intro I told you the snake didn't always look as good as we were showing it. Well, now I'm going to show you the snake as we start to try to work on what it's got going on, which is a pretty bad case of stuck shed. Now this is a purple haze western diamondback, like I probably already told you, but I don't remember what I said. Actually, because I haven't said it yet. Think about how it has to work film-wise. So if for whatever reason, this snake, rattlesnakes in general don't need a whole lot of humidity for shed. They come from a pretty dry climate. This one has problem shedding, so frequently have to deal with it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to soak this snake. So I've got that ready to go here. Lukewarm water, not too warm, not too cold. You don't want it to feel cold in your hand. You don't want it to feel warm in your hand. A little bit cool is great. One, we don't want this thing amped up and fired up. We want to put it in water that's going to calm it down, but you don't want to chill it either. So I've got my hooks here, and I've also got Michaela in the background. So you always have to have somebody who's helping you. Kurt's got a camera in his hand. He's not the best person, so I need to give Michaela, you got a tongue, right? So she's ready to go in case of emergency. I should probably give her a hook. I'm going to give her the big one. And we're going to try to do this with this little bitty hook. You're probably saying, well, that's really stupid. Well, it's a smaller snake. This isn't that large of a snake. I should be able to handle this small of a hook. We're going to give it a try. This is also a captive bred snake. This one tends to be pretty docile with me, 9 times out of 10. Let's see, not a problem. Little hook's just fine. So we're gonna get a nice hook and tail on it. Oh, come out of there, buddy. Bigger than I remember. So there you can kind of see the stuck shed, all the issues the snake is having, and why we would need to put it in a soak. So we'll go ahead and drop it down in there, just like that. Of course, it's gonna wanna crawl out. It'll calm down after it's been there a few, and you can, I don't know how the camera's gonna pick it up, but we wanna soak this shed to get it softer, get the skin softer, and then we're going to go on to step 2. So stay with us. After this thing's bath, we will go and we will take care of it. Little snoot boot for you. All right, let's close it up and move on. So this thing's been there for probably a good 15 minutes, however long it took us to film a Patreon. So it's had a nice, good soak. By the way, if you're not on Patreon, you should check that out, like, subscribe, all that stuff, which I'll tell you probably in the beginning of this video too. So it is time to get the snake out of the soak now. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tube it using a plastic tube to keep the snake nice and confined. This tube's a little bigger than I like, but I'll be honest, somewhere along the lines, I lost the one I really want. So we're going to go with a little bit bigger tube. Typically I'd go with one size smaller than this. You want it to be where the snake can crawl all the way through, but doesn't have a lot of room to turn its head. That's what you don't want. It's going to be a little bit big, but not too bad here. It's definitely workable. I only know because I've done it before. A few quick tricks. I still got Michaela here. Is when you're opening this, a lot of times I'll stand behind to open it, but don't do one of these. Okay, don't open it right here hanging over it. That's bad news bears. Get you a tool so you can see where the snake is. In this case, he's right there. So how you been doing, little buddy? And you can see there's already a little bit of skin that's come off on there. So now the next trick is to get him into the tube. So there's a few ways we can do this. One, we'll probably need some tools to help us. When you use a trash can, this is going to take a little longer. If I was using something a little bit lower sided like this, I think it's easier to tube, but I think a can is a good, safe way not to get bit. So the easiest thing to do is get the snake to start in there if you can. That's the hard part. See, they don't like to do that. Come on, little buddy. And the big thing on this, if they don't want to go in, is be patient. I got a camera on me right now, which I about bumped my face on a second ago. Just be patient. Don't get yourself in a big hurry. If you start pushing this and you start trying to say, I'm going to be boss of you, snake, that is when you are going to lose. Or you're going to do something like that with the hook and really piss it off. Don't do that either. As you can see though, there's already skin coming off the snake right there. That is a really good sign. Okay, we're going to try something a little bit different. that's not what I want to do. So in that case, sometimes you switch to a longer hook. Michaela's reading my mind. Because that snake's being calm and chill, but I'm also going to be trying to get it to go in a tube, meaning there's a good chance that I might, startle it, piss it off, anything else. And so a longer hook, probably better in that aspect. And again, just take your time. This is one of those things where you got to tell yourself, hey, I'm paid by the hour, even if you're not paid by the hour. Because the hospital will bill you a lot more than what you would get paid by the hour. Come on, little dude. What I want to do is get him to try to escape up the tube. That would be the perfect world. Kind of like that. Oh, we almost had him. I couldn't see I had him until it was too late. And I should have grabbed him. Another trick you can use, if this isn't going cooperative, is you can change your angles. Like this. You're basically making it easier for him to climb out. If he goes the right way. Which you're not, are you, buddy? Ah, bummer. Ah, we were almost there. Nope, not quite there. That's where this tube's slightly too big. If that was a little bit smaller diameter tube, we would have been there on that one. Hey, we're there. Like I say, just takes a little patience. And once you get that patience, you're good to go. So now, I'm less worried about the skin on his body. That's going to kind of come off pretty naturally now. So now the trick is, we're going to move him over here to the table. Give me a little bit more room to work. This is going to be less about the views. Where is that little hook? Yay. So we may end up having to use this little hook to pin. We will see. And now you can see back here too, I can manipulate him with my hand, and you want to keep a nice, good, tight hold. I'll probably pass that off to Michaela. He's all the farther in there I want him to be, I think, right now. What I want is him to be able to get the end of his head out of there. Now see, that's a really good sign right there. Okay, let's let him come out just a little bit more. And you got to watch when they're in the tube. See this body twist? So he has a lot more room than you guys think. I can also straighten him by a little squeeze right there, and that will make him expose his head. But that's about where I want him right there. And the big thing we want to look for is how are we doing on the eye caps. Now this eye looks pretty clear. We might do a little bit of testing with that one. I'm going to need a tool that I got a little more control over. All right. Well, the other tool is probably actually a better tool. It's not a tool I'm too used to. Keep them right there. Another thing you can do is, again, moisture is your friend when dealing with stuck shed. So what I got is a cup of fresh water here, and I will use it by wetting down a rag. I'm trying to scrub some of that area I really want to scrub off. I'm not going to use the rag in my hands. That would be really stupid. So you're going to take this tool, get that wet area in there, and you're going to try to see if we made any progress there. A little bit. And as you can see, he just kind of charged out of there, so you do have to watch what you're doing. I know this is probably one of my least talkative videos. That's because I have to have a little more concentration when I'm doing here. I mean, anytime, despite popular belief, that your hand is close to the business end of a rattlesnake, you should be paying a lot of attention to what you're doing.
That was a nice little lunge forward.
Yeah, but I've also got...
Stop it, kid.
See, right now I'm expecting to lunge out at me too.
Yeah, he's trying to back right out into my hands.
Okay. So the next trick, this is the fun one. We're going to run him forward a little bit. We're going to use this hook then to pin him. And to do this, we're not going to crush his head. This is about the only time I ever pin a snake, is when I have to work on its face, you know. And that's just because you kind of got to. Give him a little bit more there. Perfect. So then, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on him. I'm putting enough pressure to make sure he stays put and try to get an eye cap off. Which, if you get yourself fatigued, pinning one actually is not that hard. You can always take a break and start again. Right now I don't have it a good spot. I want to make sure your pressure is good, because I am going to kind of go hands-on a little bit here. Yeah, he ain't going to like this much. Now right there I just got one to come off. I'm pretty sure. There it is. So that's one. I'll give him a break and I'll take one. So the part when they have these rough sheds, you really got to work on is retained eye caps. So right there is a retained eye cap from a rattlesnake. I don't know if Kurt can see that very well right there. We probably got one more to try to do, and then we'll try to give him a little bit more. I'm getting the shed off. I know, buddy. Yeah, you're pissed at the world. I get it. But you can see better now. Don't act like you can't. Now this one might have already come off. I think it did. This eye just looks a lot more clear. What I'm going to do is clean up some of the shed around his face. Make him feel a little bit better.
All the itchy scratchies.
Yeah. This is where this new tool is kind of nice.
Well, bless you.
All right, so we're not going to get everything off his body. That I'm not as concerned about. The soak will do that. We can always just do another soak. The thing I was mostly worried about was getting that eye cap. I think one of them came off with some scrubbing. It also looked pretty quick it wasn't there. Then that other one we definitely pulled off with using our water and tongue method. It was stuck on there pretty good. You got to kind of work all the way around there, and you'll see it kind of pop up, and you can kind of grab and gently pry it off. You want to make sure to not mess up the snake's eye when you do so. As you can see, we didn't. So that is how you treat stuck eye caps on a snake. And in the beginning of the video, I said this snake's going to go off display. That was kind of my hook. So why is that? Well, Michaela, you've been here, worked with this thing for a while. How often does this thing have shed problems?
Every time.
It seems to have shed problems every time. So with that, we're going to actually move the snake very soon away from here and put it in our house. We can control its humidity a little bit better and some of that. So we can see if we can't get that corrected. Because it's growing well, it eats well, it does everything well other than shed. It sheds like crap. And it wasn't you. It was doing that before you ever came here.
Oh, yeah.
It's always had a little bit of a problem, but as with size and age, it seems to have gotten a little bit worse. So we're going to try to maybe keep the humidity really high. Try like a humid hide with it. Try a few different things. We've tried humid hides before though, right? And see if we can't figure out a way to get this thing to do well. But any questions, Kurt? For those who know, I'm not shaking much.
Yeah, so how often do you have to do this for other venomous snakes?
So this is the only rattlesnake I've ever had to do eye caps on, ever. I've never had another one retain eye caps. I've never had another one have this kind of shed problem at all. It is definitely unique to this one, which makes it very difficult because you don't want to keep them in too wet of an environment because it can cause other problems. This snake's a little bit problematic from that standpoint, but I've never had to do it on my gaboons. I've never had to do it on my rhinos, but I've had to remove eye caps from this thing. I don't even know how many times at this point. Multiple times.
What problems can occur if the eye caps stay on?
So if they stay on, it's probably going to go back in the shed again. It is pissed. We get that slow tongue wag. Those who don't know, a slow tongue wag in a rattlesnake is a sign of being pissed off. But they can eventually cause blindness. They're going to stack up on there. It's going to kill the eye, and they're going to get harder and harder to get off if you have multiple on there. It can cause the snake to have some issues because it can't see. And even though sight is not their biggest tool, these guys, especially being pit vipers, however, they do use it. And so when you take that sight away, it makes it more difficult for them to find their food and feed the way they should. Also can make them harder to handle because there's one less sense that they've got, so they're relying more on the others, and you can get more bites, more strikes, more other issues. So overall, it's just something you got to get off of there. Anything else?
No.
All right, Michaela, any questions?
No.
I notice you're kind of looking that snake over. You're kind of taking the opportunity for a good old health check, aren't you?
Yep. And he's been acting kind of like he wants to poop on me, so I'm like...
Holding him out. We're going to put him back in the water for a second so we can film the intro anyway, so he might have a poop. Well, let's show him. Can you show him how we let these go out of a tube if we're going to put them back in a container? You can do this in a cage, or you can do this into a container like this to transport. The easiest thing is, this is why I like a tube they can slide through. You just kind of convince them to slide through the tube. And they'll go. Just like that. So it's a lot easier than trying to back them back out to let them go through. If you go with a tube too small, you can't do that, or you can't get the head out. So that's kind of the way that works. Anything else you want to add, Michaela?
No.
All right, guys, that's all we got. We cleaned up a rattlesnake. We fixed those eye caps just like we said we would, and we told you why it's leaving display.